Hey everyone, Gordon here with another Tech Time with Gordon. Today I'm going to talk about which internet browser should you use. So I'm going to go through the different browsers, explain their strengths and a little bit of their weaknesses, and then we can go over which one I would recommend to use in regards to the internet browser. So let's begin. So, for those who don't know what the term web browser means, basically, a web browser is a software application that allows us to access the World Wide Web. So, basically, when we are on the internet, when we are searching stuff up, when we are viewing different websites, we are using a web browser. So, this is the software or program that allows us to take the internet and allows us to view it on our computer or device that we are using. For the different browsers, there are a variety of them. What I like to say is a browser is kind of like a car. There are different cars out there, different makes and models. Some have the sunroof and all that. But basically, they all do the same thing as they get us from point A to point B, which is this case viewing the internet. Now, for different devices, they do have their default browsers. So if you have an Apple device, you have the default of Safari, and I'll explain the pros and cons for that one. Microsoft, it's now Microsoft Edge, and for Android, you are using Google Chrome. You may be asking yourself, Gordon, why aren't you talking about Internet Explorer for Microsoft? Well, effective January 1st, 2020, Microsoft has officially stopped supporting Internet Explorer for websites. What this means is basically with no longer support, you may be seeing that sites are no longer working properly anymore because it is not supported. Um, so if you do have Internet Explorer, Microsoft has made a new version. This is called Edge, which was released with Windows 10. So if you are a Windows 10 user, you automatically do have access to this in one of your updates. You may have to search for it in order to replace your Internet Explorer. If you are still using Windows 7, you would have to download this separately. But if you are still using Internet Explorer, I would suggest looking at one of the browsers that we are talking about today because unfortunately, again, with it no longer being supported, you may see that you are having more issues than you have in the past. So the first browser I would like to talk to you today about is Safari. So if you have an Apple device, it will come standard with Safari as default. Examples of Apple products are iPhone, iPad, any Mac or Apple based, you will have this as a standard default. The advantages for this browser is it does not require as much processing power. In layman's terms, it doesn't use a lot of brain power, which means it'll run fairly smoothly. It works well with Apple devices because it's the default and was made by Apple. It does have the ability to do iCloud syncing. So if you have a iPad that you've bookmarked all your things on and you want to move it to your iPhone, you can quickly access it through iCloud syncing. The only downside that I'm going to mention in regards to this browser is it does lack customization. So some of the browsers that I'm going to explain later down do have the ability to add extension, plugins. You can change the look and feel of the browser, whereas unfortunately Safari does lack these customizations. So the next browser I would like to talk to you about is Windows Edge. So this is a browser that will come with Windows 10 as standard. This is also the replacement of Internet Explorer. The advantages for this one is it does have a lightweight design, so it doesn't have as much baggage as some of the browsers that are out there. Because of this lightweight design, it will run a lot faster. It does have tracking prevention, which means that if you are dealing with privacy and you don't want websites to follow you, you can disable following. It does have an interesting feature called Smart Copy. This allows you to copy text and paste them in other locations. Generally, with old copy and paste methods, sometimes the formatting, it can be difficult to transfer over to, say, a Word document. With Smart Copy, it does make this process a lot easier. The only issue, again, with this browser at this time seems to be the lack of customization. So again, if you are looking for plugins and special advancements for this or visuals, fortunately, it does lack it because of the lightweight design. So the next browser I'm going to talk about is Firefox. Now this is not one of your default browsers. Because of this, and similar to say Chrome or Opera that I'm going to be talking about later, if you are interested in one of these browsers, if you are using a computer or a PC, basically you just have to search up in your current browser one of them, and you'll find the website to download it from. If you are using a mobile device, you should be able to go to the App Store to acquire them. So with Firefox, it was built by the Mozilla Foundation. This is an open source web browser. Because it's open source, that means a lot of people have made plugins or customizations. So again, one of the advantages for this is it's easy to customize. So if you want to add some plugins that work for you, you can do that. You can change the overall look and feel of it, so you can make it something of your own. Another advantage is that it focuses on security, so it has a lot of privacy settings. So if you are fearful of being tracked, you want to avoid that, being in some kind of incognito mode, you can definitely adjust your settings to do that. Because of the open source and the ability to customize, it does have a good user experience. Because it does have a lot of resources out there, you can find assistance when it comes down to utilization of Mozilla. The only downside I'm going to talk about is that because you can do a lot of customization, the more you customize, generally the slower it will be. So compared to Microsoft Edge, which is sleek and doesn't have any of these fancy extra things, because it doesn't have it, it's a lot faster. Whereas with Firefox, the more I add to it, the slower it potentially can be. Now, I myself use Firefox on a regular basis, so I'm going to demonstrate now how to go into plugins and kind of show you maybe a few plugins that I use myself. So I've just launched Firefox. I'm going to show you how to gain access to extension and plugins. At the top right, the three lines, or what I like to call hamburger, I can click on this. And I'm going to go down to add-ons. So this is showing all the extensions that I'm currently using. So the three that I find most useful for me is APB ad blocker. So this prevents ads from showing up. Some websites will recognize this and ask if you would disable it. Websites do get revenue based off advertisements. So if you do find that you use that website quite a bit and you do want to support them, sometimes you can choose to disable APV for certain websites. I use the antivirus AVG. Basically, having this feature in my extension, when I do a search, it will kind of give me a green thumbs up in regards to this website should be safe, or a thumbs down, which is generally usually indicated with red warnings, and basically let me know that I should not click on that website to view it. Great for safety and security when it comes down to malware. And the last one I'm going to talk about is Honey. If you do a lot of shopping online, this little guy here will actually show promo codes or coupons that potentially I can use when I'm doing my shopping. So, if you're looking for great deals, Honey is a great resource to use. Um, Now, these are just some that I'm using. There are quite a few different out there. If I want to find more add-ons, I do have Find More, and I can just quickly type in what I'm looking for. So let's put, like, I'm looking for an ad blocker, maybe another ad blocker for some reason, and then it's going to give me a list of different ad blockers that they suggest. Basically, when you're looking at this, you can click and view the information when it comes down to what the extension will do. You can see how many users are using it, so good numbers or more numbers are better. I would not trust something that maybe has 1, 2, or even 100 people at the moment. It has a star rating. So with star ratings, a 1 is bad. We don't want to do a 1-star hotel. We do not want to do a hot 1-star restaurant, but a 5-star is great. So we want to look at those high star numbers, and then we can determine if we want to use it or not. And once installed, basically it's going to show in your extensions, and if I do want to get rid of it, I do have the ability to remove. So if you do get one and you're like, it doesn't work for me, you definitely have the ability to remove. So this is one way to adjust, and we also have themes here, so I can kind of change the look and the feel of my thing. So if I want to go dark mode, maybe I want to add a little bit of color. They have a variety of different ones. So again, with Firefox and extensions, you can make your browser your own. So a lot of customization there. So the next one I'll talk about is Chrome. So this is the default for Android devices. It was Google designed. It's a free web browser to use to view the internet. Uh, if again you're not using an Android device, you can go and search for it to download it. Advantage for this is it does have a sleek design. So as default, without adding anything to it, it does run smoothly and fast compared to some of the other browsers. It does have safety and security, so it does have an incognito mode for privacy, and you can adjust some settings there to make it more private. It does have a large extension base, or similar to Firefox. If I want to do some neat customization, I can go about it. However, it shares a similar fate as Firefox. The more plugins I have, the less speed it's going to do. So the more stuff I change and play around with or add to it, the slower potentially it could feel. The last one I'm going to talk about is Opera. So this is a multi-platform web browser developed by Opera Software. This one's hasn't been well known, but it does have a lot of interesting and neat features. One is it's not a resource hog. So again, that kind of the concept of not requiring as much brain power. It runs very fast. It actually does have already a built-in ad blocker and a VPN. So if you want to hide your identity or your location, it already has that as a standard. It uses Chrome extensions. So if again you want to play around with customizing it, you can. So some of those Chrome extensions you can use for this browser. The downside for this, unfortunately, it's not well known by web developers. So when web developers are testing their websites, Opera is not one of those that they'll test on. And because of this, some websites will not work as well on this browser as they do on other ones. So, it is kind of a hidden gem. It does have some interesting features, but because it's hidden, it might not exactly be right for you, but definitely when I've done my research, it is considered one of the better browsers that are out there at this time. So which internet browser should you be using? Well, it really comes down to user preference. The ones I've demonstrated today are considered the top of the internet browsers that are out there. Some of the defaults that I've talked about today, such as Safari and Edge, do have speed on their hand, but they lack the customization, whereas Firefox and Google Chrome, they do have the ability to do some interesting and neat customizations, but unfortunately, the more you do, potentially the slower it could move. And now I'm not saying it's going to crawl move like a slug, but you might see the difference in these web browsers. However, again, user preference. For me, I enjoy having those extensions. They do customize my experience when I'm doing internet browsing. So that's why I prefer Firefox over some of the other ones. Definitely, you can try multiple browsers if you'd like, see which one actually fits your style, and then stick with it. But it really, again, comes down to user preference. So I hope you enjoyed today's video and kind of got thinking about which browser best suits your need. If you haven't checked out the last video, I would say check it out by clicking the link. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, click below and subscribe to keep updated in regards to videos that I do and other videos that the Collingwood Public Library does. Have a nice day. Bye for now.